Hello, my name is Russell Myers, Independent for U.S. President for 2024. Let me start this off by saying I do not support terrorists or terrorism in any way. Now, thus, I do not in any way support Hamas, the attack on civilians, but let's face it that both sides in this conflict have been, targeting civilians, and at this time, Israel is trying to force the population, millions of people in Gaza from the north to the south, to seize the northern part of Gaza and force these millions of people, which I pointed out in my last video entitled Gaza. The population of Gaza is already 14,000 people per square mile. So now Israel wants to force them into an even smaller space than that. And Israel has been bombing apartment buildings, hospitals, mosques, schools, etc. So, define terrorism in this. Both sides. Now, I'm going to point out that Palestine is not allowed to have a formal military. So, when you deny a country to have a military of their own while your opponent does have a military, then you can really define an armed group that opposes illegal occupation as a terrorist group, even though that it's the only way that they have to fight back. I do see both sides of this. I am not in favor of any deaths on any side. I'm the same way about the Ukrainian conflict. I'm against warfare in all cases. All right, so I have, in my previous video, I also went into the living conditions of Palestinians, which they have been enduring for decades. This movement of Palestinians into a smaller space, they are viewing as another Nakba. The Nakba was the 1948, it's also known as the Palestinian catastrophe. It was the destruction of the Palestinian society and homeland, in which hundreds of thousands of people were forced from their homes, from their lands, and it was brutal. It was violent. Thousands were killed. They were forced to live in tents, and the refugee crisis was just horrible. The United States and Israel are trying to blame Iran. They're trying to force a war with Iran at this point. But guess who is going around and trying to get the Israeli hostages released? That would be the Iranian foreign minister. He is going around to different countries. He has met with Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, etc., Jordan, but across the Arab world, including Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey, are condemning the acts of Israel in this conflict. Pakistan has said that they stand with Hamas and will send fighters there. Hezbollah in Lebanon, as they are manning their border with Israel. There has been fighting between the Israeli Defense Forces and Hezbollah on the on the Lebanon border. So, Hezbollah is a major threat because they have at least 150,000 rockets and missiles, including precision guided missiles that can reach anywhere in Israel. And Hezbollah previously defeated Israel when Israel tried to invade Lebanon. So there's that. Israel has also bombed Syria, the airport, an airport in Syria. And remember that Israel illegally occupies the Golan Heights in Syria. So if all of these countries, what Iran has been trying to do has been going across the Middle East, trying to keep this conflict from spilling over into the entire Middle East. But I don't think that they're going to be successful. I think that this is going to spread. It is going to explode. As far as the United States, we have sent 2 aircraft carrier groups to that region. Let's keep in mind that a number of these countries do have air forces. Iran has an air force, Saudi Arabia has an air force, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan doesn't have a formal air force, but they do have aircraft and trained pilots. Yeah, if Turkey gets involved on either side, that's more aircraft. This can be easily explode. China has a policy of non-intervention, but they're blaming the United States and Israel for this. Russia is blaming the United States for this. They're not openly blaming Israel because they have a long history of diplomatic ties with Israel and trade with Israel. So they may or may not get involved. If Russian forces in Syria get attacked, then yeah, Russia may become involved. All right, so to the title of this, there's a lot of talk about whether we are going to support Israel or Ukraine. So let me point out, we're sending aircraft carrier groups to the Persian Gulf to Israel, whereas in Ukraine, we are primarily providing ground forces support. So these are different at this time. Financially, economically, you're paying for this. Every bit of this, you're paying for it. The United States wants to block Iran's ability to export oil. Guess what that will do to oil prices all over the place? That, if successful, first of all, China would probably not agree to this in any way. They are Iran's biggest oil customer, trade partner, and they are also the biggest customer of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Oman, and so forth and so on. So even though it may not affect U.S. Imports, we don't import anything from Iran, but just trying to cut off that oil, if it was successful, then do you think Iran is not going to respond? No, they would cut off the Strait of Hormuz and stop other OPEC countries from exporting oil, which would affect Europe and just the entire global oil supply, driving the price of oil probably over $400 a barrel. So, other ways in which you pay for this economically. How do we fund the money that is given to Ukraine, the $4 billion a year that we give to Israel, the movement of our aircraft carrier groups over there by debt? We pay for it by creating debt. That you pay, we already pay $1 trillion a year on the national debt. And the more money that gets created out of thin air, the more it devalues the dollar and increases inflation in this country, such as if oil goes up, then you wind up paying for it. And as far as the strategic petroleum reserve is concerned, it is at the lowest level it has been in 40 years. And still going down. There is no way to replace that oil. It will take years to restore the strategic petroleum reserve to the level that it was early last year. And how are we going to pay for it? And who profits from it? The oil companies profit from it. The United States our administration has no real problem with this. The major route by which the dollar has value against other currencies relies almost exclusively on oil and debt. And the debt, as I already said, if we loan money to another country, then the way that the mechanism by which that happens is that the government issues bonds, the Federal Reserve creates currency out of thin air, increasing the debt, and you pay for it. You pay for that debt, you pay the interest on that debt, but the banks are happy. Are we going to keep on supporting Ukraine? Right now, Russia is on the offensive, and they are taking territory, and they are they're depleting Ukraine's offensive, defensive capabilities right this minute. And Ukraine has gone on the defensive. They are not making any offensive movements. They are on the defense and some areas on the retreat. Even if we create the debt to support both of these actions, do we have the military capacity to prop up, to support both of these conflicts? And keep in mind, the United States is just itching for a war with China. One U.S. general said that we will be at war with China over Taiwan by 2025. It's late 2023 right now. How fast is 2025 going to come? Other sources say by 2030 we're going to be at war with China. It will take years to, if the Ukrainian conflict stops right this minute, it will take years to build up our stores and for Europe to build up their stores to the level that it was early last year. Our production capacity is not high enough to restore it in 1 year. It's not going to happen. The most important aspect of this is that in all cases, the United States administration, our government, opposes any negotiations. And Israel, do they want to negotiate in good faith with Palestine? No. And Ukraine, do they want to negotiate with Russia? Do they support negotiations in any of these conflicts? No. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to the Palestinians. Don't talk to the Russians. Sanctions and blockades and so forth, and cutting off trade with China, sanctions and threats, and a buildup of military force in the South China Sea. Where does this end? There is no good end to any of this. All conflicts, any military conflict, is either prevented or ended through diplomacy. That is the only way. No, we are not going to defeat Russia and China and Palestine and whoever else gets involved in the Middle East. Iran, Lebanon, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Pakistan, Afghanistan. No, we cannot defeat the entire East. It's not possible. And in the process, in this entire process, we are crushing our economy and the European economy. Militarism does not work. Denial of human rights does not work. Trade sanctions do not work. We've already seen what all of the sanctions against Russia have done to our economy. The Russian economy is expanding. Ours is collapsing. The European economy is collapsing because of all of this. We have to take a different route. I've said my policy with any conflict is not to support any side of any conflict unless both sides are taking positive actions in a peace process. We should be acting as mediators instead of propping up one side against another side based on ideology. Why do we hate Palestinians? Have Palestinians ever attacked the United States? No. Has Russia ever attacked the United States? No. Has China ever attacked the United States? No. All of these countries have never attacked the United States. And yet we want to respond consistently with military force. We take sides. By the way, Israel has attacked American forces. Look up the USS Liberty. In the 1960s, Israel attacked the USS Liberty. Palestine has not attacked us. Anyway, if we want peace, this is the only route. To be a mediator, to recognize human rights, to listen to the Palestinians, to listen to the concerns of the Russians, to honor the One China principle, which is the official State Department stance on Taiwan. But we don't stand by it. All right, share this video. Talk about these subjects. Support a candidate that is in favor of peace, instead of continually increasing our military budget and our debt to support conflicts that could be resolved in realistic ways. Anyway, again, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand my campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.